wanna be the best in the game, invest in my name, check no restraints, I'm obsessed with the pain. I ingest, I retain, assess and I change, possessed by the thought I'll be free one day from society's restraints. Money, clout and fame, a disease, a plague. We all love to hate, have to play the game, have to make a name. All our insecurities are on display. This is war with the enemy, think that it was meant to be. Living in a time where disease is on every screen. I won't let them fester me, I know most are festering. Negativity is a plague for the mentally weak. No mercy, all I got is working. Never stop searching, never quench the thirsty. I'm toxic and psychotic, with this logic, you can't stop it. It's been chronic since I was a boy, so neurotic and chaotic.
Built to last with the webs I'm weaving. I could change the past with all I'm achieving. Got my foot on gas, never stop coming.
Hey, hola! Look at this new layout right here. See that? I'm down here in the little window, and you can see me. Look at that. This desk looks so big in this camera angle. Crazy, crazy, crazy. It's really not. The desk, I mean, itself is a good, I don't know, 4 feet wide on the desk. But this little lap table I put on there, it's so tiny, but it looks big. Looks big. What a great effect, It could be useful elsewhere. This camera effect, Put on my glasses that are my prize for turning 50. You now get glasses. All right, so I'm going to be inking this page. I penciled it, and I'm going to ink it traditionally. This is my pencils. It's of the Flash, and it's a commission piece for Stealth X5 as a viewer of the channel. I buy Hunt 102s. This is a box for a 108, but I'm just showing you the box. It's basically the same little box that they come in. I keep all my nibs in a little tray next to me, so I keep them open, and they just sit there next to me so that I can just grab and go. Oh, look at that, dropping a quill. So I just, I just grab and go. These are the Hunt 102 Crow Quills. So if you guys have never used this before and you're kind of wondering how it works, the Hunt 102 Crow Quill, right there, you can see. I'm gonna say it's flexible, but it's not flexible in the sense that it is like a brush. It's not that kind of flexible. It just has a little split, a little slit right in the middle, and I'm kind of rotating here on you guys, but trying to figure out the camera. And then it's got a little hole in the middle. That's kind of the ink well. These are steel tip nibs. They're manufactured, mass manufactured, so they are not always going to be exactly the same. Sometimes you get what you get. Sometimes you get a good one, sometimes you don't. I buy these little foam grips. I get these from the Dollar Tree. So if you have them, the Dollar Tree in your area, you can just go get a box of these for $1, and you get a pack of like 6. You can see it gets all stained and dirty, but that's okay. And all I do is insert the steel tip into the quill. I like mine to sit at about this level here. And so what I do is, if sometimes they won't fit in there, I stick a little blade that I've got in here, this little metal pipe. I stick it into the opening of the holder to widen it so that this will sit in a little deep. I like it to be in a little deep, so that way it doesn't feel quite so loose when I'm inking. I'm going to be inking with India ink, and the India ink. Let me get my glasses on here. I got this little rubber grip in the back, keeps the glasses from sliding off. But look, this is India ink. I use Koh-i-Noor India ink. I don't mix my ink, but I do pour it into that little diamond container. I'm using this baby food jar with water in it. When you're inking with steel tip nibs, you want to use a distilled water. And the reason for that is because your steel tip nibs could rust. So distilled water works pretty good. I just use tap water most of the time. Oh, you know what? Actually, I'm gonna need to pour some ink in my bottle. So I might as well show you guys my ink. So when I ink, I used to ink traditionally pages every day. So I need a big bottle of ink because I would go through ink quite a bit. So this is the Indian ink Koh-i-Noor. This is the universal ink. I like it quite a bit. It's got a little nozzle. You lift it, and then I just let it pour into my little container, because as I'm working, I don't really need that much ink. I don't need a big bottle of ink as I'm working, because I dip the ink a little at a time. So that's what I'm doing. But appreciate you guys are here. You guys are here to watch. I'm gonna try to keep up with the chat, but it's a little difficult for me to see the. I mean, I can see the chat from here, but I can't go back and really highlight you guys. I can I'd have to lean over. We do have another inker here. Peter Retro Palmiotti is here. He's an inker as well. Very talented. Zero Comics says, let's chill with the Quill. Man, that's pretty cool. Yeah, I also sent you a reply back to you on Instagram as well. So, but let me get started on this. I got to get this sucker done. I'm hoping to get it done hopefully by tomorrow. You know, I've been kind of going back and forth between my own comic book and commissions. So I am working little by little on my own book. So first line of the day, and I just want to kind of feel the quill out, see how the quill is working. You know, just kind of get a good feel for it, get in rhythm. That's the thing about traditional inking. You don't really know what the quill is going to do. It can react in so many different ways. You know, it's a little tricky, you know. I've gotten spoiled by digital. The quills are always perfect. And I constantly have to clean my quill. Little fibers get in it from the surface of the paper. But this is going to be, I apologize, mostly going to be a watch stream. I won't be able to really interact with you guys. I'm going to concentrate on this and really focus in on the line work. I'll try to give you guys some pointers as I work. You want to remember to breathe when you're working. You want to breathe, you know. You don't want to tense up. You need to be relaxed and just, you know, relax and enjoy the line. You know, that's basically it. You know, you just kind of relax and just do your thing. You know, do the line work. And the more you relax, the less you have to fight the quill. I apologize if you guys can't see too much. I do move the page around a lot. So what I like about the Crow Quill is that it allows me to sculpt my lines and shape my lines, and I can control the line art, the line work just a little more. And but when I do want a bouncier line, I'll go to brush. But I like the angular line over my work. Kind of stuff that I like. Especially this is lightning, so I can like zigzag all these little lines and really angular and just, you know, get the line that I need. Right now I'm putting down holding lines right here, so they don't have to be all that great right here. I use a rubber cement eraser, kneaded rubber, if you guys are wondering. Basically, rubber cement. I just stick it to the bottom because of my page, so my page doesn't slide as I'm working. It's right here, this little kneaded rubber eraser. And what I do is I just stick it like this on my desk, and it keeps my page from sliding down on me. And when I'm working, I just keep the page loose, and if I let it go, you can see it'll slide. So I like that it will slide because then I can just rotate the page as I'm working. It's easy to slide around the table. And inking with the quill, it gets easy. You just got to learn how to work with it, and that's the thing at the beginning is just getting used to the idea of the quill. It doesn't work like any other tool. It's completely different. So you just got to get used to the way you hold it. The fact that you can only throw a line in one direction, and it's up to you if you want to push or pull your line. I do kind of a hybrid. My line is I kind of pull the line in towards me, but at the same time, I'm throwing it at an angle, which is really different than any other inker. Most inkers, you know, wouldn't dare do that. I don't know how I just got comfortable with it. It's a weird oddity, you know, the way it's just how I got comfortable throwing my line. So it's whatever works for you, you know. And on my work, I like a real kind of sketchy kind of look. So I don't really do like really clean, super clean lines like I do when I ink like Dave Finch. I would go even cleaner when I would ink. I got ink on my hand already. I touched my face. I bet I got ink on my face. And or when I was inking like I didn't ink over Brett Booth. I was doing like really clean lines, but I really just prefer kind of a messy style over my own work. Just personal preference. So here's just some holding lines right here, just to outline where I'm going to ink. What's important is the art overall. You want to make sure you're keeping the right shapes in the artwork. You're creating, good gradations. Your line work's adding value, different values in the artwork. Values are different, like different shades of gray, even though you're using one color of black. How you combine your lines can create the illusion that there's different values in your work. So I'm still a little rusty, a little stiff. It'll take me a minute or two to really loosen up, get in the rhythm. I'll find that rhythm very soon. Right now, it's I'm still a little, and this quill doesn't feel sharp. It's not giving me the really fine little line that I'm looking for, but since it's giving me a thicker line, I'm just kind of going around finding areas where I could use that thicker line. There we go. Give me a thinner line there. Yeah, but it still, nope, it still kind of thickens up. So it feels like a G pen right now. Doesn't feel like a Hunt 102. I can't stand the G pens. They just give you like thick, flat lines. So I'm gonna switch this quill. I'm giving up on it, and that happens. It looks like a good quill, but these things are machined, and sometimes you get a bad quill. It's not giving me the line work that I could do. It was releasing the ink in a funky way, so I don't want that. All right, let's see this one. Yeah, this one's a little better. So sorry, I'm not pulling up your chats or answering your questions. I'm too far away from the computer mouse right now. So this is more of you guys just get to observe and watch. But if you have questions, I mean, you guys can put them in the comments at the end of the video, and I'll try to answer them. You can put them in the chat if you want. I'll see if I can take a little break and see if you guys have any questions, and I can try to answer them as best that I can. It seems like the crow quill seems to be what people have the most difficulty with, and where people have the most questions. It's when I ink with a quill, I get a lot more questions. And honestly, the quill isn't really that difficult. It doesn't have to be. I think oftentimes, like, we overthink it, I think, So if you see me like lifting my hand, looking underneath it, it's because I want to make sure that I'm not inking over any wet ink. Where you put your hand down and you go, oh, I just smeared ink. So I'm going to move around. I don't know if you'll be able to see where I'm going to, maybe I'll start over here. I'll flip this way. You guys can see a little bit with the quill. So I spent the morning working on my my new comic book idea that I've got. I've got a really cool comic idea. You know, I've got tons of ideas for books. I just got to figure out which one I really want to go with. So far, I've been playing around with the Western horror comic book story I got. Started fleshing that out, creating promos for it. I like to create a visual, and I like to find an image that represents it, you know, that tells the story, something that's really eye-catching and unique. So I try to come up with some type of promo piece at the beginning to get people, you know, to see if I can come up with something that can get attention and wow people, you know. So I spent the morning working on that. I got a bunch of ideas. I've got one for a superhero idea, one with Greek mythology in it. Of course, I got the fantasy one with the dragons. You guys already saw that. And but right now I'm focusing on that Western, and I've got about 5 or 6 pages already, pretty fleshed out layouts. You know, the layouts aren't that rough. They're actually pretty fleshed out. Eventually, I'll do another creator-owned title. Got an offer from a publisher. I don't know if I would right now go through a publisher, just simply because I can do it on my own and have all the say, and don't have to split the profit, you know, where a publisher would take a big chunk of it, and then I'd really make no money. Comics right now, you know, aren't doing that great. So I don't really want to just publish a book for the sake of publishing a book, because I've already done that. I mean, I'm a professional. I've got my name on comic titles. I now want to make my own ideas out there and own the property, and hopefully make a little money at it too. But you know, this isn't the kind of business where you really are going to make a lot of money, you know. So you do have to be disciplined, and you do have to enjoy the medium. Otherwise, you'll see people come in and out. You got the gold rush fever right now. You got people that see, you know, oh, $1 million campaign, and they want in on that. You know, they think, oh, I could do it. I could put something together, and we could do that. Those people will be gone pretty soon. They'll see that, you know, that's just an unusual case, you know. The planets lined up for that, you know. And most campaigns, you know, are pretty modest, pretty small. And then those people, you know, they'll leave. But if you really love comics, you know, you'll be here in the long run without the money, you know. All right, let me take off my glasses here for a minute and look at this stuff. I got to tell you, this hat is so it's me without the hat. The hat doesn't let me wear my glasses comfortably. It's pretty tough. So my flat hair right now. All right, so can you guys see some of the lines, some of the line work? I work my way around and just kind of start inking. But even though I'm going around the drawing based on the type of line I'm getting from the quill. So the quill is being a little cranky this morning, and it's just wanting to give me really thick lines. I have a really light hand, so it's not that I'm, you know, I don't think it's that I'm adding more weight in the way I'm throwing the line. But so what I do is I keep in mind the entire artwork of where I need to throw thick lines and where I want thin rendering. So it's very basic formula. It's a simple figure. So I want really thick lines around the lightning. I want some medium lines around the figure, and then I want my fine little rendering lines to create value coming out of the hard shadows. I'm going to do stuff like that, like I did kind of here with his, all these cool little lines. But these lines that I've got going here aren't as thin as I want them to be. I want to do a lot more like sketch work in this thing. But this quill is being a little stubborn. But I've used the quill for so long that I can almost force it. But it's pretty stubborn quill. That's the thing now. Like the paper quality, the paper cost of paper has gone up, but the quality of paper has gone down. The cost of these quills have gone up, and the quality of these quills have gone down. I used to never go through so many quills before. I used to just pop in one quill, and man, it was like I would get beautiful line work, and then eventually it would start to wear out, and then I'd switch. I'd switch my quill, but that's not the case anymore. Now it's now I'm getting, well, this quill's better. So, but the quills, yeah, the quality of the quill, man, this makes me really appreciate digital so much more. I don't think I'm going to do my comic traditionally. I just I love the digital because I can just go. I don't have to worry about the quality of the tools or whether or not they're working, and I can meet deadlines like no problem. I just zip through stuff. So that's the only thing about traditional. I mean, the benefit is, like this, the person who commissioned this is going to have an original piece put on their wall or wherever they want. They've got their favorite character and they commissioned an artist, and that's pretty amazing. But for a full comic book and the amount of work that it takes to do it, I'd rather get through it with my digital and just go faster. Yeah, this is a pretty good quill. This quill's giving me a much better line. Oh man, I got hair in it already from somewhere. I don't know. Yeah, there we go. It's a nicer quill. This quill is so much better. I just put those lines down right there with this new quill, and it's a lot better than the last quill that I got. I can get tighter lines, tighter rendering. That's what I wanted. So now I can get rolling. I'll probably get a little more quiet now because I'll start getting in rhythm here, jamming out. Is that my hair falling out there? I think I'm losing hair right on the stream. My hair was from my hat. I guess it knocked it out. It was falling right on the page. But I guess the cool thing is created by hand with the tool that is not easy to use. Not everybody can use this tool. I guess, you know, bragging rights, I guess. I can say, yeah, I did that with a quill. And people are like, what? Are you a master? Stealth X5 with $2. Thank you so much, man. I appreciate that. And Stealth X5 is actually the person that commissioned this, so you guys can and let me see in the super chat. It says Stealth X5. He says hello. He says, how you doing? Yeah, so a lot of work goes into, you know, using the quill. I think that's why I'm gonna stick with digital for my main comic, because this is so time consuming that doing a whole comic with it, you know, it slows you down. But this is how comics were done back in the 90s. You guys can't really see it on camera, but there's a lot of little bitty line work that goes into this that you'll see more and more as I go. There'll be more all these little intricate lines that probably don't show up on the camera. So the ink that I use, the India ink from Konor, it'll dry pretty fast. And that's why I like it, because it dries pretty quick. It dries with low reflection, so it doesn't reflect all the light back off the page. I can see the artwork. But it will also dry fairly quickly in your quill. So you gotta keep washing and cleaning the quill. So I just try to stay aware of what I'm inking. I try to look at the work and see if I want to, you know, try to get a new vantage point. So here's another quill that I use. This is the 102, the Hunt 102, or by Speedball now. I guess Speedball bought them out. And I'm gonna switch to a much more flexible quill. This is the 108. So I'm gonna switch to the 108, and it'll allow me to go through pretty fast. It's like almost like a brush. It lays down a lot more ink, so it holds a lot more ink, and it allows you, get more of a thicker line, and you can get some really nice thick to thin line on it. It's pretty cool. But you got to be really have a really light hand with it. And if you do have a really light hand with it, you can get some really fine little lines with it. I don't ink my detail with it because you don't get as fine of a line as you would with the 102. The 102 is that's my go-to quill. But I do anything I can to avoid using a brush. I'm anti-brush, I guess. I don't know. I'm just stubborn that way. No, I actually want to angular lines, and so I want to keep it consistent because you can see the difference between brush and quill. So if I ink something with brush, then I want to ink most of it with brush. I don't want to be switching up because then my lines will look different. I want to try to keep a real angular line to this and all this energy in it because it's the Flash and he's lightning and everything. And creating lines that look like they're random and all these zigs and zags to it, but there's a little bit of organization in that line work. Can't go too crazy with it, but I do want each line to look as if it's its own unique shape, that it doesn't match any of the other lines. But in reality, I'm really just kind of throwing down the same type of lines, but just varying them up. So that, if you can see there's some little like lightning lines. I don't know if you can see them. We're trying to do like this, nice angular type line. And then I look at the work and I go, okay, here's one key basic. Here's inking 101 tip right here for you. Always, if you're not sure how thick your line should be when you're inking traditionally, throw down a thinner line than you think it should be. Because you can always add to your line. You can build up a line when you're inking with a quill, brush, multi-liner, anything that you're inking with. You can always build up that line. You go back and you add to that line, making it thicker. But you can't remove the line. It's not that easy. You have to use some whiteout. You got to use a scratch blade, scratch off the fiber off the artboard, and it's very difficult to remove a line, even for us like professionals that have been doing this, for a while. So if you're unsure how thick your line should be, just throw down a line a little thinner than you think it should be. And you should be okay. You should be pretty safe that way. Okay, I'm going to start picking up speed. I apologize if I get quiet. Starting to get the feel of the 108, and I'm going to get in rhythm and starting to figure out what I want to do with these lines here. I'm going to rotate. I don't want to smear. Those lines are really heavy ink. Because they're heavy ink, it's going to take a little longer to dry, and I don't want to smear. Because then cleaning that up, boy, it's a tough thing to do. To use the whiteout and all that stuff. I try to ink and not use any whiteout. Unless I have to. Unless it's, an effect that I'm going for, then I use whiteout. But I generally will try to keep the original art really neat and clean. And you guys won't be able to see it on the stream, but there's going to be, like Stealth X5, when he gets the original, he'll be able to see all the lines. That's the cool thing, it's one of the things I forget because I see original art a lot. And if you're not used to seeing original art, when you hold the original art for the first time and you'll be able to see a lot more detail. You go, holy crap, there's a lot more line work in this than what appears in the comic. It's just kind of how it goes with comic art. So a lot of zigzags, double line, little crackle lines here and there to get the effect of energy and momentum. It's a lightning bolt. There's got to be energy in it. So I don't want to go too straight of a line for too long. I need a zigzag in there. So a lot of cool little zigzag lines that if you guys can see, just cool little zigzag splatters, stuff like that just goes through into the artwork to create a lightning bolt. And then I do that same effect all the way around all the lightning bolts. So it takes time, but when you're done and you see it all together, it's one cool lightning bolt because of all that type of line work. And then the other part too, some of it is having to train your eye for line work, and the other part is skill. You want to show off your skill, show off that what you could do. Make your lightning bolt look different than anybody else's. Where people just look at it and go, "Wow, I don't understand why that lightning bolt looks so much different than mine." And it's just the amount of time the artist took into it, and the understanding that artist had of what he was drawing. Once you start to kind of understand like a lightning bolt, and you go, "Oh, it should have all this energy in the line work," and you start putting that in your work, you'll start to be able to elevate and just make things look interesting and appealing. This is just, this is all interpretation. This is the way that I see a lightning bolt and how I think you should ink a lightning bolt. It should have energy, kinetic, energy in it. So just a bunch of little angular lines going through. I'm almost done with them. Actually, there's not too much more to go. This 108 allows me to do a pretty thick line. I've got nibs that'll do a much thicker line, but I want to be able to control and sculpt my line. So I build up the line and I sculpt them with it. So the gaming mechanic for $5 says, can't read that one. Let me see. It says for $5, game mechanic for the chill art stream. Thank you. I appreciate that. And while I'm here, X5 for $2 said hello earlier. So I appreciate that. Thank you so much. And appreciate that you guys are here. Let me get back to the lines. So it's a different kind of stream, where you guys can get to see the quill in action. I'm using two different quills in case you're just joining and you're wondering what I'm using. This one is a 108, and I do love the 108. It's a pretty good quill. If you don't put too much ink on it and you're very light with your hand, you can get a really nice fine line with it. Like right there, I put a really cool little line work. I don't know if it's focusing. If not, maybe it's too close. Yeah, I'm not sure if I don't wear glasses, but I'm wearing these. You can kind of see the lines there, but they're really fine little lines. I don't know if they showed up on the camera, but you want to be patient with it. Inking takes time. Oh, and that reminds me, since a gaming mechanic, you're here. I haven't been able to get a hold of you by email. I'm not sure if my emails are going through to you, but I'll just show you what just show you what I was what I've got for you, and I guess I'll just say it here on the stream. If you can email me your shipping address, I have a free gift for you. It's already, you can guess what it is. It's already packaged up. And so I have your free gift right here. You can see underneath, all packages nice and neat for you in a Gemini mailer. Pretty sure you can guess what it is. And if not, you'll be surprised with it. I'll send it out to you if you just send me your shipping address via email like you did before. SES Powerlifting says, showing the love. I've been drawing more traditional lately, but I'm going to try to do a piece like you did with this flash piece. Oh yeah. I guess I'll show the piece again on here. Yeah, just trying to do something that would look good on the wall or framed piece of art. So I went big with the flash. You know, he's running at the camera. So I wanted to oh wait, let's see. That's zooming in on me there. Where's the other camera? All right. Oh, here we go. All right, so there's the flash there. We can kind of see. See how he's got his arm back, one arm forward, and he's leaning in. He's either in the middle of a run or he's about to start to run, and he's got this kinetic energy just zipping around, you know, trying to do something like that. Let me see if I can get in more on the sorry if that made anybody dizzy. Here was some of that line work. A bunch of little zigzags around the flash. Some of that fancy line work all around his arms. A little cross hatching here and there. And just trying to, let me see if I can just ink if it stays on on screen. And maybe you guys can get a better view this way. So I'm cleaning my quill. I used tap water. I wouldn't recommend using tap water. Use distilled water. Just because tap water varies from region to region. And you could clog your quill. Stuff like that. So if you can get distilled water, but that can be expensive. So if you're on a budget, I just use tap water. And I clean the quill frequently. So, I guess that's behind me there on the head. I should ink a different area. I'll ink over here somewhere. Let me see if I can ink like right here. So I look at the line work in the pencil, and then I translate it into ink. So I look at the line and I go, okay, what is the pencil telling me? You know, what do they need? And then I will try to translate it into ink with keeping the same form and shape or the same type of effect that the pencils have on there. Sometimes I follow the line from the pencil exactly, because sometimes in the pencil it's perfect, It just needs to be inked. And so I don't want to, shift the line or vary from the line. I just keep it exactly the same. Make sure this side is dry over here. I'm going to put my elbow in it. I'm going to move around. Let me see where else I can find another piece to ink while that dries over there. Let's see if you guys can see. All right, I guess I'll do the right here. This streaming software that I'm using doesn't really give me the option to change too much the layout to where I want. So I don't know if you guys can be able to see everything. Maybe if I hold it this way. Let me see if I can change that layout, just because I have to be comfortable when I'm inking. Is there another? What does that do? Oh, that puts me right in the middle. Let me see if I can, if that moved me out of the way. Yeah, so maybe I can finish over here. Let's see, I don't want to reach I get scared when I reach my arm across the artwork. I used to never think of myself as being a good inker for the longest time. And then I was filming video and putting myself on YouTube. And big name artists started watching my big name inkers, my peers, who I thought were levels ahead of me. They started to watch my videos and watching the way I was doing stuff. And some of them borrowed some of my techniques too. I mean, a lot of the techniques are, it's basically the same. So, but some of them borrowed some of the technique, the way that I would do things in my own particular way. And I was flattered by it. It's like, wow, that was pretty cool. The gaming mechanic, he says, no, brother, haven't received any emails. I'll send you my address and email to you here in a little extra. And here's a little extra for men. Maybe meant for a little extra for my man, or a man, or I'm not sure how to translate it, but you said brother, so you must be like me, where I say brother and I say man a lot. You say, I was like, yeah, man, or yeah, brother, I don't know. I think it's from growing up in the. I didn't really grow up urban. I grew up in a. Not saying you did, but I mean, I grew up in a very poor neighborhood. It was pretty ghetto, but that's just the way we talked. I'm gonna switch back to the 102 now. I just feel like different lines. Where's my 102? There it is. So I'm gonna switch back to 102 right there. Oh yeah. Send me your address. I've got that. Got a comic book for you that I wanted to show my appreciation. I appreciate that you watched the channel, all the super chats you've sent, and I think all those super chats there, and to show my appreciation. I wish I could send you more than the book that I'm going to send you, but because I feel like you've paid for more, and but at least want to send something. just so that want viewers to know that, I appreciate everybody, And so for everyone else watching, to show my appreciation to you guys, I try to be as transparent. I try to share tips for free as much as I can, because I know a lot of us, when we're learning art, we're on budget, and we're on, budgets and stuff, and art supplies themselves eat up our budget. They can be expensive. So if I can offer as much as I can for free, there's some stuff I'll do in a video where, you got to pay in the video because, I want to make some money teaching some stuff, but I also want to try to, share what I can, because for the longest time when I was trying to learn to ink, nobody was willing to share. And I remember asking a very, very famous inker. He's still a really big name right now, so I'm not going to tell you who he is because, he's a nice guy. But this is back when I didn't know him, and I asked him one day. I said, "Hey, did you ink that with a quill or with a brush?" And he goes, "Uh-huh." And I realized at that moment he didn't want to share any secrets with me. He saw me, I guess, as competition, I guess. And I looked up to that guy so much, in his work, that I never considered myself to be a threat to somebody at his level. And he didn't want to share with me. And so I went, like, okay. I mean, I get it. It's very competitive, and today inkers are almost extinct. Work for inkers right now, it's so scarce. You really probably wouldn't find any work right now as an inker. And a lot of inkers are becoming artists. And if that continues, and and inkers really become completely scarce, then there might be create a demand for them again. But for me, I don't want to be that inker. I don't want to be. Just don't want to be that guy that doesn't share anything. Because I remember what it was like trying to learn a tool, and it was frustrating. Trying to figure out how these things work. There was nobody to really turn to. It was frustrating. But then I got really lucky. And Salim Crawford from Wildstorm became my neighbor. And I used to go over to his apartment. We used to be, we lived in the same apartment complex. And it was so cool having a working professional. I was working on independent comics, and he was inking at Wildstorm. He got to ink Jim Lee and a bunch of other people. He worked primarily with Ryan Benjamin. And he used to let me stand over his shoulder and watch him ink. And just from observing and watching him ink, I learned a lot. I went back and I tried to mimic what he was doing. I learned to clean my quill with a piece of old pair of jeans. You just take the old pair of jeans, you fold it over, the ink is inside the quill, and it's pretty dirty. You just take a little corner of it, put it through the inside, and you scrape it out like that. You just scrape the ink clean till you see a really clean quill with no ink in there. And I learned that from him, where he learned that from Wildstorm in the studio. And I keep it taped right there at the end of my desk. Old pair of jeans. My grandbabies are growing up so fast. They're going through pants so quickly. So we, whenever I buy them a pair of jeans, I'll ask my son and say, hey, can you give me their old pair? Here's a new pair. Give me the ones they've outgrown, because I use them to scrape all the ink off of it, off my quill. And he was nice enough, to let me have it. So you guys can do the same thing. Take an old pair of jeans. I'd recommend jeans and not use a rag. You want things that aren't going to leave fiber. If you use a napkin, the paper has fiber. It'll get stuck in your quill, and that's going to give you problems. So you use an old pair of jeans, and when you wipe through there, they don't leave any little bits and stuff in there. And the pair of jeans that my son gave me from one of my granddaughters, it's one of those, like, it has nylon in it. It's kind of those stretchy jeans that kids wear right now. And it works pretty good. It works even better than actual jeans. It stays really clean. So I'm not sure if you guys can see where I'm inking. Yeah, maybe you guys can see there. So if you hear me say terms like throw your line, it's because the faster and the more confident that you are with your quill, the cleaner that line's going to appear. And it takes a little time, but be patient with yourself, and you'll start to get you'll get more confident, and you'll be able to throw a faster line. So I'd recommend, getting a couple of artwork printed out on non-photo blue, and get your art printed on really good Strathmore artboard. The artboard, if you guys are wondering, you want to see the artboard I recommend you to work on, and it's really cheap. It's on Amazon, and I'm going to show you guys real quick. So get your get artwork printed on this paper, or draw on this paper, and ink, and try to throw your lines as fast as you can, and throw them out as far as you can. And if you can't get artwork printed on a Strathmore, take a blank sheet of Strathmore and practice throwing these lines. Here's the artboard that I use right here. Let me show you guys real quick. You guys will... All right, so this artboard, this is really inexpensive artboard right here. This is the Strathmore art paper right here. All right, so it's a big piece of board. If you can hear the plastic on it, because it comes in a plastic sleeve with tape, and it's not in a pad with adhesive in it. There's sheets of paper inside, and it comes in this little plastic bag that you keep it in. It is the Strathmore 300 series, so you can see right there it's Strathmore 300. You don't want the one that's in the pad. You want the one that comes like this. And I found this on Amazon. So when you get this on Amazon, it's 11 by 17 sheets. They are already cut. The paper weight is 100 pounds. Means it's a pretty it's a cardstock, 100 pound. If you're into kilogram or whatever or centimeters, then if you're in metric, there's the measurements. And I highly recommend this paper. It will handle the quill and it will handle the India ink very well. And I always recommend store it on a flat surface. You don't want it warping your paper, because if your paper warps when you try to throw your line over a bump, your line's gonna you're gonna hit your line. Your line's gonna kink and curve. So you want the paper to be as flat as possible as you can. Unfortunately, if you're inking over, like when I was inking David Finch, Dave has a heavy hand, and he treats paper. What he'll do is he works through pages, and what he does is he'll do a couple of pages, and he'll put them aside, and he just throws them on the side of his desk, and they can get a little damaged, little kinks in them, and or they get messy or bent. When I was getting pages from Dave, there would be a corner bent, or there's like tons of smear pencil mark on it. Sometimes the boards, when I put them down, they wouldn't sit flat. So I learned to ink over that. It was a nice crash course. He had heavy indentions in his pencils. He's a heavy-handed penciler, and so I got used to inking across, feeling that little indention when I throw my line, which was kind of cool because I could feel his pencils, literally feel the pencil indentions as I was inking, and I got used to that. And I figured out a way to ink him and solve the problem where the board needed to be flattened a little bit. I learned to ink with my index and my thumb where I'm inking, and I kind of would press and flatten the board out, hold the board flat, and then ink my line. So I still do that, even though I'm not inking him. I still hold it like this to flatten the artboard. It just became a habit. But that paper is what I recommend. It's very inexpensive. You can get the 200 in a pad. The 200 is good too. It works great. The 200 is just a little bit cheaper. It is it's pre-lined and measured. So if you just want something that has the lines already on it, then I would recommend getting that. But if you're going to print your artwork, get that 300, because then you can print directly on it and not have to worry about printing over any of the pre-rolled lines. And this one I hear, this is the DC Wildstorm artboards. But I recommend that 300. It's pretty good. It's what I really do a lot of my work on. But sometimes, like I have all kinds of art paper. I have some left over from when I did work with Antarctic Press. I have a couple of sheets from Marvel. I don't have any more DC paper. It's the last paper. But I had some from DC Comics and Eon Artboards. I had a bunch from Eon Artboards. I still have a bunch from Eon Artboards. They had sponsored me for a while, and they had sponsored the channel, and they wanted me to, when I was showing inking demos, to showing my demo over their product. So I have a bunch of their paper. I think I still have like 50 sheets left, and I highly recommend it. It was really good. It was a really good paper. but it's expensive paper. So the Strathmore 300 would be the one I say to get your inks over that. Oh, let me see. Am I in the way? Let me move over. Go back to the other layout. Let's see if I can. So this quill, I can get really, really fine little lines with this quill that won't even show up on the camera. So this quill is doing great. I want to try to get some of the lines on the face here while the quill is being very cooperative. Like, I mean, the lines are extremely fine. I don't know if you guys can see them, like right. Yeah, they're not really showing up, but right on the side of his face, those are really fine little lines. I mean, I zoomed in there, put the artwork right in front of the camera, you know, zoomed, and the camera's already zoomed in a bit. So fine little bitty lines on the side of his temples. And it's kind of hard to hold the page up in the air because it bends. So just keep cleaning the quill, dipping my ink, testing my ink on a scratch piece of board. I've got a scratch piece of artboard next to me that I just cut from an older DC artboard that I had. And then just create a gradation on the side of the temple. So if you guys can see, just little weight variations, creating gradation. All the cool fine lines that'll go on the face. And then just having a really light hand really helps. You don't want to be too heavy. You want to get relaxed. When I first started on the page, I was a little, you know, you got to loosen up. You know, I'm a little stiff, and Takes a little bit to get in rhythm. I fought a couple of the nibs, and it's just how inking goes. And I've been inking with a quill since 1994, around there. So even I still have to get into rhythm, after not inking for a while. But if you're doing it every day, you'll find that you'll get in rhythm much easier. If you watch the way I throw my line, that would, give you a good idea, and you can try just throwing the line. You kind of just move with your elbow, keep your wrist locked, and hold your quill, and then throw the line with the elbow. You can either throw it out or throw it this way. You can only, there's a little, you see that little concave? If you're going to throw it away, that concave has to go away the direction that you're throwing the line, away from you. If you're pulling in towards you, like I don't really pull in towards me. Like I mentioned, mine's a hybrid. I throw at an angle, but which is weird. I think I'm the only inker that does that. I don't know how or why. It's just just what's comfortable for me. But you throw with your elbow. In short lines, you can throw with the wrist if you want. If you want to throw short little curved line, and you bend the wrist, But if you're trying to throw a longer, straighter line, and you want to throw it pretty fast, you're going to use that elbow. You want to also keep a really light hand. You want to think of an airplane. Salim Crawford, I asked him one day, I said, when you throw your line, what kind of weight are you putting down on that? I said, how are you getting that thin to thick line? He said to me, think of an airplane landing on the runway. And as that airplane lands, it will put heavy weight, and then it will come down and be light, and then heavy weight. Or maybe he said the airplane takes off. I think as the airplane's lifting off, it's light and then heavy, or something like that. But basically what it is you're just coming down very lightly, I guess, as you're coming down, you're very lightweight. And then as you go, you're applying more and more weight, and you're touching down on the paper. So maybe he said an airplane landing. Tell me something like that. I was 19 years old. It was 1993 or 1994. So I don't really remember, but I remember something about an airplane landing. But I got the gist of it. You want to make sure you start out with some light weight, and then you add more weight as you go. And that light weight will give you a really fine line. And remember to breathe. You have to breathe Something I learned in boxing. If you make a tight fist, and it's crazy that what I learned in boxing applies to artwork, which is crazy because you don't think of art and boxing have any relation. So when you're boxing, inside your glove, there's a bit of like a bar. And this is traditional boxing. So, you've got like 10-ounce gloves up to 14-ounce gloves, depending if you're sparring or what you're doing. And when you're boxing, your hand is like this inside the glove. There's like a little bar, and your hand kind of goes over that bar, and it's like this in the glove. And you don't want to have a tight fist. And this is going to apply to art as well. So you may want to pay attention to this. So you don't want to make that really, really tight fist. What happens when you make a really, really tight fist is you cut off you're cutting off the blood flow on your arm. Your arm will fatigue. It will fatigue and it will get heavy. So when you're inking, you want to, I like this cushion because it makes the holder a little wider. So I don't have to have like a tight little grip on it. I can have, it's a little bigger. I can kind of have a looser grip, and I can just ink with my quill. When you first start out, you're really trying hard to control the quill. You're nervous about your line. You're holding your breath. You're gripping your quill like it's like you're hugging a tree in a hurricane or something. And you don't want to do that. That's not how you ink. You're going to find you have to really break that habit. And that's what you're going to be working on in the beginning of inking with a quill, is trying to break yourself from that habit. Once you learn that, okay, you get more comfortable with the quill, then you're going to find that you don't have to try to hold it really tight, and you relax more, and you're not as stiff, and you're able to throw much more fluid lines and control the line more. And look how messy like your hands will get, under there. The other thing too is that when you're inking, the breathing, and that's also came in boxing. So in boxing, when you throw your punch, you have to breathe. We do that. When we box, we just blow this air out, and when we throw a punch, is you do that. You have to have the blood oxygen in the blood, and you can't be real stiff because then you're going to tense up and you're going to fatigue. So in inking, when you're about to throw a line down, what you want to do is you want to relax. Make sure you got, you dip your ink, got your ink, you test your quill. You're about to throw a line down. You want to kind of relax a little bit and breathe out. Just a relaxing breath. Let that air out. And throw your line. And that way, you're not holding your breath. You're not tensed. You're relaxed. You can throw fine little lines because your hands aren't heavy. And you feel more control that way. And those are really important tips that no one has ever said online. I go to every other professional inker's channel that has channels. They never once mentioned breathing. But we all know it. We all use it. And it's one of the most important things when it comes to inking. It's not so much, sure, the tool and learning the tool, we're so focused on that. But that is one of the tips to master the quill, or brush. It's the same thing with a brush. So always remember, breathe, relax, don't squeeze on the quill. The quill is a lady. You got to be gentle with her, you know, and really just be soft, gentle lines. And you'll start to figure it out as you go. Just like a woman. If you're rude and disrespectful to the quill, it's gonna fight back. It's not gonna be nice to you, you know? So you gotta really just be gentle with the quill, you know? It's not a pencil. It's not a marker. It's not a brush. The quill is its own unique type of tool. And if you're rough with it, you'll find out the hard way that it will bite back. So just throwing a bunch of little bleed lines. Doing the airplane thing. Really light. Light as I go. Pressure. Light, pressure. Light, pressure. Light. And you guessed it. Pressure. Meaning weight. And there are those bleed lines, you know, and you just step and repeat, step and repeat, step and repeat. And that's inking, you know, with the quill. It's just, you're going to find that you're going to be doing the same thing over and over. But, you know, you sit back and you think, you know, with doing the same thing over and over, it can become mundane. It can become boring. But the benefit to doing the same type of line over and over with that repetition comes rhythm. It becomes familiar, and it's like when I was boxing, learning how to throw a punch properly and form. After a while, I don't need to go, oh, turn my wrist. I don't have to turn my wrist. Point in on the rotate on the ball of my foot, turn my waist. I don't have to think of all that stuff, you know. I don't have to think of my stance. I don't have to think of, you know, where the power of the punch is coming from. After a while, you just do it. It's just there, you know. And God, I don't think I've thrown a punch in 30 years, and it's just still in my head, you know. And you get in rhythm. So with the inking, you know, it's the same thing. You never forget how that quill feels when you are throwing that line down. And I can feel it right before I throw down the line. I go, oh, I remember the paper. I remember the quill feeling. It's there in memory. So that's one of the benefits to doing the same line over and over. It's like when you ride a bike. At first, you know, how do you pedal? How do you steer? How do you balance? After a while, it's all recorded to muscle memory. And then you get so comfortable on the bike that you want to do fancy things. Before you know it, you're like, I'm riding without hands. I'm pedaling with one foot. I'm standing on the bike, you know, all that kind of stuff, you know. I'm popping wheelies or whatever. Is it wheelies? Not willies, right? I don't know. I have a Texas accent. It comes out every now and then. But when you're inking, after a while, you go, oh, I want to experiment. I want to try to throw this other line and try to vary. my lines, and what if I group these lines differently? How would that look? And you'll find you're going to experiment, and you find what works, what doesn't work. Some stuff, it's just you have to go through the rhythm of experimenting with line work, and sometimes you'll. I mean, it happened to me. It happened to Joe Weems. Just about every inker you go through, you experiment trying to throw all these different lines just to find out they don't work with the artwork, and you've wasted all this time. I think every one of us, every inker I've talked to, we've all gone through it. Ryan Wynn, he was another one, another inker, buddy of mine, and it's just something we all do. We all experiment, but I wouldn't scare anybody from experimenting with your line work or try to discourage anybody. I think you should, because you never know. You might actually find a different type of line that works for you. And in the process, you also learn what lines work. So you got to remember that it isn't necessarily so much about being really fancy in your line work. It's about the artwork. Shadows, light shadows, values, textures. Shape and form is the primary. So you need to learn to draw just, basics, understanding of drawing. I know some really fantastic inkers, really, really good inkers who really can't really draw. And I don't want to say their names, but I watch them when they show me some of their artwork, and I go, ooh, wow, how do you ink so damn good? And yet you can't even draw the human form, but you can ink it really well, so at least as an inker, you just learn to follow and visualize a line and form. I guess when it's there in front of them, they can follow it, but they can't visualize it on their own. I guess they can identify it. I don't know if maybe that's what it is, why some inkers can ink so well, but yet they can't draw on their own. But about 90% of inkers are really fantastic artists. So most of us really, really good artists. And I put myself in there. I go, yeah, I'm fantastic. So that's pretty much there with the of what I've got so far. Once I start spotting the black, and the reason why I spot the black last when I'm inking traditionally is because when I go through and I use when I spot black, I just use this. It's a synthetic sable, and it's the Pinto. This isn't the Pinto, but it's the one that looks like the Pinto. It's just a synthetic sable. It's basically a plastic brush. It does hold the ink very well, and it lets me spread the ink. When you apply more ink on a paper, the fibers on the artboard will absorb it, and the board will warp a little bit. And so if the board warps, then you got to press it down. That little technique that I do, you press it down and throw your line in between. And so if I can keep it as flat for as long as I can and fight off the urge to want to spot the black right away, do the line work first, that's what works for me in my workflow. The other thing too is that when you spot black, it will trick your eye. It'll make your eye feel as if more is finished on the page. And really, it's not necessarily true. You've not really gotten farther in the drawing, but you see more black shapes. So the way that your eye and your mind works is that you can see the final art much more, and it feels more completed. So there are some inkers that would go through and spot their black first. I don't do it because then, like I said, the page warps. I try to fight that urge, but sometimes I go, man, I want to get this done, so I spot the black so that I get that second wind. When I spot my black and it appears to be closer to completion, I go, oh yeah, this is almost done, and I get my second wind, and I just keep going. I start inking, but then I still have a lot of that little intricate line work to do, and so then as I'm going, I realize, oh no, there's still a lot to do. But I want to say thank you to you guys. You guys are all amazing. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. I'm going to change cameras real quick and microphone real fast. Alrighty, so I'm back on a new microphone, and you guys can kind of come join me here with get a little tour of my studio. I will do a video tour and show you guys around my studio if you guys ever are wondering what is it like having an area for traditional art and an area for digital and streaming. What does it look like? I even got a little area back there for fulfillment when I do my own comic book, if you guys are interested. But let me see if you guys have any questions. Feel free to ask, and I will try to answer them. If you have any questions on inking right now, traditional, if you're struggling on anything, now's the chance. You can ask a professional inker who's, if you're wondering what my credentials are, I mean, I've worked on Avengers on Marvel. I've worked on Starship Troopers, Ghostbusters. God, so many books. Like I said, I worked with David Finch. Dave and I did Power Rangers, tons of stuff together. And what are the other stuff? We did a bunch. It's so hard to remember now. We did stuff for Image. We did Radiant Black, and I've inked with a Quill. Done tons of stuff. Gotten ink over tons and tons of artists. I put my channel. I put my website address in the chat. If you guys are interested and you want to keep up with what I'm working on, then all you have to do is just go to my website, sign up for my newsletter. It will just scroll down on the main page, or there's a pop-up window if it's your first time at my site, and you just type in your email address there, and I will give you guys updates whenever I start on a new project, whether it's a creator-owned project or if I'm freelancing for something. And if you're digital, I do a lot of freebies. Give free brushes away, wallpaper, different tools that we can use inside Clip Studio Paint. I just send them out to my subscribers. They get them for free long before I ever put them up for free on my Gumroad. And so Archives has a really, really good question. He says, how do you prepare your nibs? So steel tip nibs over here are... they're machined and they come with an oil inside them. It's an oil layer on top of the quill to preserve the quill so that they don't, depend on the region, so they don't rust. They don't, they last longer. So those quills, when you get them, they actually will have a layer inside of them. My answer to your question is, for me personally, what I do is I do nothing. I don't do anything with it. I simply dip it in the ink and start inking. I don't burn it with any try to burn away the wax, because that oil becomes kind of like a wax layer. I don't try to burn it away. I don't use rubbing alcohol, none of that stuff. The type of ink that I use is the let me go back over here. And all right, so the type of ink, in case you're just joining us again, is I use the Koh-i-Noor. Koh-i-Noor Black India ink. It's the universal. I get this sucker right here from, you can buy it anywhere online. I think I get this on Amazon. There's Mr. Art, spelled out MIS, TERART, MrArt.com, and you can get this for about $18 to $24, depending on where you go. Jerry's Art Orama, which is Jerry's Art Orama. They carry this. I found this on Amazon. And so this type of ink will flow off that quill pretty quick. And I don't use anything. Simply all I do, like I said, is let me see here. I don't want any type of accident, but this is my little jars that I put them in. What I do is I buy Winsor & Newton ink and pour Winsor & Newton. I pour out their ink, I wash it out, and I fill it with the Koh-i-Noor. And the Koh-i-Noor works great. It flows right off the quill. So with my quill, like I said, all I do is I just dip it in to into there, and I just start inking. I don't really ever have any problem with it because when you fill in your ink, there's just like a brush. You have the cure. You have a certain area in which you want to fill the ink. So if you're having trouble with your quill and getting the ink to flow, you might actually have too little or too much ink, or a type of ink that doesn't work with a quill. So you see that little hole right there in the middle? You want to fill to a halfway point in that hole. So if I flip it over, you can kind of see that little ink well, the little hole right there in it. So you can see where my ink goes. You can see the marker right there on my ink. That's as far as I dip. Let me see if I can get that. You can actually see mine. So you see where the extra ink is up here, this darker color? That is from the right where the clean part is, down from here down. Let me get my thumb out of the way. It's trying to focus on my thumb. Let's see if I can get it to focus. There it is. So that's the marker right there. I ink all the way, I dip my ink all the way up to the very, almost to the end of that hole right there. That's as far as I dip my nib into the ink. And then you don't want too much ink, because then when you're trying to ink, you don't want too much ink to flow out of your quill. You want to be able to throw some really light lines on there. So don't bury your quill all the way to back here, you know. And my fingers look dirty because they got ink. That's what happens when you ink. You're gonna get ink all over your hands and fingers. And there's a special soap that you use for that. It's called the Artist soap, and it's by Masters Artist soap. And I have it, but it's by my sink. Basically, it looks like this. Masters soap, if you want to be able to clean your hands, comes in this, like a brown package like this by Masters, the Masters. I use their brush cleaning, and I use the Artist soap from them. It's a bar soap, but it comes in this wrapper, that color. And it's a regular bar soap. It's green. You use it, and it'll get all the ink from your fingers and your nails. It gets them right off. You don't have to worry about it. But you can see up here, you never want to dip it all the way back here. You don't even want to dip it as far as where you see my ink. The ink on my quill is because it touches the side of my ink jar. But I only dip it about that far right there. I just go up to that point right there. So you don't want to dip it too much. And that might be what you might be facing. It depends on the type of quills that you're using. I use the Speedball. They're a really great brand. I recommend sticking with the Crow Quill Speedball brand, because they're excellent. They work great. And if you're using Japanese, I don't know what the G pens and the Zebra brand and Zebras or whatever they are. I don't know what those are how those are protected, what kind of stuff they put on that. So those you may need to do some type of preparation for them. But honestly, I mean, I've tried those. I've never had to prepare any of my nibs. And Cyber says, what ink is better for brush pen? Well, that Koh-i-Noor ink that I just showed works with everything. And the a brush pen, if you're gonna take a brush pen like this, and if you're going to take a pen like this and say you're gonna fill it, right? Say you got that you got this the type that comes apart, and you want to fill it, and you want to fill it with the ink, and then when you put it in, you got to be able to do that puncture thing with it. There are types of inks. Oh man, I had ink sitting here just open. Wow, I brought over a little ink bottle. So there are type of inks that are made. They're much more. They're much thinner. So you do have pen ink. I have the pen white from Dr. Martin, which you can use through an airbrush. I can use it in rapidographs or technical pens, and it flows out so much nicer. So I put this in my rapidograph tech pens, and I can do white lines in white over black. There's opaque ink like this, and you can put inside of pens. But that Koh-i-Noor ink that I just showed you is made for technical pens, like the way this one's a special one for a technical pen. That Koh-i-Noor is made for that, and it works on anything. It works great on the Quill. It works with brush. If you're talking about using if you want to use an actual brush, a Kolinsky sable will hold the India ink very well. So you need a really good red sable, natural hair, Kolinsky sable, if you can get it, brush, such as the Winsor Newton Series 7, Raphael 8404s or 8408s, depending on your preference. Those type of natural hair sables will hold the India ink so much better, and you can spread your India ink. These are synthetic. These are plastic. I don't know which genius came up with this, but these work great. These are cheap brushes. I pay $4 for these brushes when I buy them in bulk, $8 when I buy them singly, something like that, maybe $6 singly. And these are great. I just ink, and when they're gone, I just throw them away. They actually these work great. I would say, if you can get your hands on these, which I find them on Amazon. I type in Pentel, but it's not a Pentel brand, but it's the one that it just has all Japanese writing on it. And I believe I buy their I buy their small or their medium. I forget. I don't buy their smallest, which I believe they either have an extra small, but it's a good brush. So it really varies on the type of ink and the type of tool you're using to make sure that you're getting the right mixture for them. Some person, did you dip in the ink bottle, or do you use the ink in something else? Yes, I use the ink in a little jar, and the reason that I recommend that buying that Winsor Newton jar over here, this one over here. So this is a Winsor Newton jar, and you can see the base of the jar. Let me move the artwork so I don't want to accidentally spill it. You can see that base being really wide, and then the top is narrow. So what I do is I buy these. They're about $8 just for this tiny little bitty thing, and I just throw out the ink. Even that white is different. I buy a special white that I use. I put in Dr. Martin proof white. So in here, this one's powder. And then I fill it with water, and I shake it up, and I get it to a really fine consistency where it's really thin, and I put it into this jar. And then this one I keep thicker. So this is for corrections. This is for my reverse inking, when you ink white over black. That's not necessarily reverse inking, but just to kind of give you an idea. And I do the same thing for my Koh-i-Noor ink. I put it into this little jar. The reason I like that Winsor Newton, that wide base, it won't tip over when I'm dipping my ink. So I want a wider base. I don't need much of an opening because I don't dip my quill very much. Since that opening's narrow, that's how I get that ink further up on the quill. You'll see it on the outside of it. But I can really control how much ink I put on my quill, and it saves me so much time and hassle. But this is the Koh-i-Noor ink, universal for technical pen, Kolinsky sable for quills, It is an amazing, amazing brush. Sometimes if you want, you can use solutions to clean your quill. I have several. If you necessarily, if you're really particular and you want to clean your quills, you just get these pen cleaners, and you can dilute it a little bit with some water, some distilled water. Never mix these with tap water, but some distilled water. You can dip and clean your quills if you want them, and then you put them back when you store them away for the night. If you're really particular and you really are a penny pincher like me, I'm a big penny pincher. I will do things to save a penny, because it's very, very expensive doing some inks. And Devil Flower says, I use that as well. Oh, it's pretty, man, that's awesome. And thanks for being here. I appreciate that. And see, do you guys have any other questions? And I can try to answer them. Cinematic says, I'm a college student. We have all these doing comics, but when I see my classmates inking skills, I don't think I trust them. I'm not sure what you mean. When you're not sure if they could keep up with your artwork, or you'd want them to ink your work, or you're not sure you could ink the way they ink. So I'm not exactly sure I could follow what you said. And so that's pretty much it. Appreciate that you guys have been here with me. And I'm going to go ahead and get back to work inking that. I'm going to wash my hands because I hate seeing all the ink all over my hands. And, it's one of the, how can I be an inker, right? And I don't like my hands dirty, but I'm going to go through, finish doing that, maybe get a little lunch, take a little bit of a lunch break. I have to stretch my legs out pretty often because doctors want me moving around, but it's also, a really good tip to anybody. If you're young, you feel invincible, but you need to keep the blood flowing in your legs. So as artists, please get up as often as you can, walk around, stretch your legs, or just shake it off, stand up from your desk, shake around a little bit, and then go back to work, go back to drawing or inking. And I know it can feel like it breaks your rhythm, but you need to stay healthy. So appreciate you guys. You guys all take it easy. And again, if you guys have any questions that you think of later, put them in the chat, in the comment section of this video, and I'll reply to them. So I'll see you guys. You guys all take it easy. Happy inking.